You're listening to episode 84 of Booming Your Bottom Line.
Wouldn't it be nice if you could have a crystal ball? I mean, where you could gaze into the future and know exactly what was going to happen so you could make all the right moves. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, although it'd be pretty cool. However, if you made it a habit to keep tabs on what's going on, you can get an idea of where something is headed. Now, near the last episode that Mark did when I was out of town, right near the end, he talked about the 4 situations that business owners are likely to find themselves in the coming years. And I do want to take a quick break and just give my business partner, Mark, a huge pat on the back. Last week actually came out of a script that we both started, and he elaborated on it after he had written a post that he submitted to Ariana Huffington. And I just want to say congrats to Mark because he was now accepted as a contributing author for the Huffington Post. So
thanks for that.
For BYBL, we are super stoked about that. Anyway, last week Mark talked about the 4th thing being that larger companies are moving into that, getting a piece of the local market. And there was an article this week in Home Healthcare News illustrating this. And according to that, the biggest home builder in the nation, D.R. Horton, has announced that they're going to enter the affordable housing space for older adults with something called Freedom Homes, which will initially offer homes in Florida, Texas, and Arizona to start. And they plan on expanding to other regions within those 3 states, as well as picking up North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, New Jersey, and Illinois. For accessible builders and remodelers in this area, this is most likely going to have an impact on your business, which is the whole reason we discussed this topic last week, was to give you an idea of, some of what you need to do to get your company strong enough to survive an infiltration by a larger corporation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. We hear a lot about baby boomers and, people in general, I guess, who don't prepare for what might happen in the future. And I get that it's easier to not prepare, but it reminds me of an article that I saw in Changing Aging this week, and it was about how boomers, they bet against their health by not purchasing long-term care insurance early enough, right, when it's more affordable. You should check out the article, and I'll put links to all these articles in the show notes so you guys can see them. I actually think there are 2 things out of this article that, along those lines, are important for our listeners, and that is, 1, by and large, your customers, regardless of what age they are, right, they're not going to plan properly. They aren't going to give enough thought to or build enough plan, a good enough plan for their later life. And while that might be good news for you as a business owner, right, it's indicative of the human condition. And it's a huge spotlight on an opportunity for you to step in, teach, guide, and eventually to sell to those customers, right? But also, I think it's a warning, because if we know that this is something that all humans do to a degree, right, it's a warning for you to stop and have a good look at what you're doing, how you're doing it, and why, to get a really good view of the path that you're on as a business owner, because at the end of the day, you can have the best intentions in the world, but if you've set yourself up to fail because you haven't done what you should have done, right, to anticipate where you need to be with your business, set yourself up for success, well, you stand a chance of being one of those business owners that I talked about last week that had to close up shop and go to work for a former competitor.
Yeah, it's very true. We hear that all the time, and it can be that big conglomerate. It's the Walmart of your industry coming in that puts the mom and pop shop out of business. Mm-hmm. So absolutely true. We have a good example, actually, of the crystal ball we were talking about earlier. There's a new study published at the beginning of the month by University of Michigan that shows that caring for an elder stroke survivor costs an estimated $40 billion a year to the U.S., I think, and that stroke survivors, maybe needing 20 hours or so of care per week, create a hardship for families. So that makes sense, but where's the crystal ball action? Well, as boomers grow older, their needs are going to increase, right? Your parents, mine, then me, and then the kids, right? It's true for everybody in the future. For you, that means those families are going to need resources, people to help them, in-home care, attorneys, financial planners, home remodeling, and house and yard maintenance. The list goes on, you guys. So how could you prepare to help those people the most? Not just stroke survivors in that example, but anyone who has changing needs, knowing that we all do, and almost all of us won't plan for it in time. Okay, get yourself in the right position to be there when they need you. And that's not just services and products either. We're talking about position. You have to set your company up, starting right now with your marketing, your processes, your people, to position yourself properly in the market and make sure you have the coverage so people will come to you. They already know you're the one to trust, and they're the one that somebody, your family or a friend or colleague of theirs knows. And that's, we teach teaching, right? Because if the average sale, and Mark and I talk about this all the time, if 80% of sales come on the 4th to 12th touch point, now it could be your sign on the side of the road once, could be you on stage once, could be an ad once, right? Those are touch points. But if they haven't seen you 3 or 4 times, and that's why I speak on stage, because now you're training the trainer. You send out a group of people that have you in mind. It works well, and maybe we're preaching to the choir, but again, you actually have to set yourself up to do it.
Yeah, and speaking of getting your business in the right position, there was a really interesting article in Small Biz Trends. It had a great title, too. Warning, your customer service isn't as great as you think it is. Yeah, and I thought it was a wake-up call, right, for small business owners that shows there's a really big difference between what you think about your customer service and what your customers actually think about your service. Now, according to the local businesses surveyed by Blumenthal, 61.9% believe they offer great customer service. Okay? These are local businesses. And out of those business owners, they think that 75% of the businesses in their community have excellent customer service.
Huh.
Now, the shocker is what their customers think, right? On average, they think that just under 60% of local merchants are offering great customer service. Now, I know that doesn't seem like a big difference, but let's think about this. If that's true, that you and the other local business owners in your community think, 62 to 75% of you have great customer service, and your customers only think 60% of you actually do, that's a big difference, which, even though the numbers may seem small, can boil down to several thousand to tens of thousands of dollars per year in sales that could have been missed because of a bad experience.
Sure.
And that is something that's worth paying attention to. And I know, looking at yourself through the microscope, it's uncomfortable, right? But it's something you have to do. Because not doing it, that's just sticking your head in the sand.
Yeah, very true. Being a business owner and a leader in your community does require some mirror time. So, well, finally today, since we seem to have focused so much on predicting the future and preparing for it, I'd like to leave you with an idea. There's a really good article by Drew McClellan of Drew's Marketing Minute this week that I think sums up what we've talked about today. Essentially, the idea is that excellence isn't an accident. Now, you're going to nod your head and agree with that because we all know it's true, but Drew illustrates the idea with Disney and the process that employees go through in terms of training and indoctrination into the Disney way long before they ever get to be with a customer. The companies that are always rated the highest in customer satisfaction invest heavily in making sure they are delighting customers. It's not just a financial investment either, which I think is particularly important for you all. They invest time, teaching, instilling values, supporting, and mentoring. That's a place where you could give yourself a boost as a small business owner by guiding the people that work for you. Show them the path, help them improve, and make that investment in yourself and them so you can both be successful while continuing to create a brand that is strong in your local community.
Amen to that. That was very well said, Aaron. All right, well, I think that wraps us up for today. This was great. I really enjoyed this, and I hope that you all did too. Think about what we've covered today. Really look at yourself and your company to see how you're lining up with what's coming. And then get in contact with us, and we'll show you how we can help you start doing the work that will lead you to accomplishing your business dreams. Go to byblllive.com/start to do that. And until next time, be well, be bold, and boom your bottom line.